So in this video, guys, we're going to take a look at, first, when something's in factored form, you should know it looks like this. And then if we want to put it in the standard form, we would have to actually multiply this out. So I'm going to do that first using the box method, because most of you guys would use the box method, or you might use the FOIL method. Alright, so you guys can see here that if I had you multiply these binomials together, you'd get a trinomial in standard form. Now you might say, well, yeah, we already know how to do that. So what I'm going to actually show you in this video today is we're going to go from this format right here in standard form, and we're going to put it into a product of binomials or factored form. Okay, so there's a technique to it. So I'm going to use a technique called the box method, because you already know how to use the box method to multiply. So think about it this way, where I'm going to basically go ahead and go from this format, and we're going to go to this format. So that's what I'm going to show you in this video. So keep in mind, we're kind of use the same method when we multiply, but now we're going to basically do the inside to get the outside. Alright, so if you look at this example, this is standard form, and we want to put it into factored form, because eventually we're going to start to solve just like we did in the previous video. So the very first step that we want to do in this is we always want to see if we can factor out a greatest common factor of each term. So if I want to see if there's a GCF of 5, -8, and -4, however, there isn't. 5, 8, and 4 don't really have anything in common. However, I notice there's a negative here, so if you can, let's get rid of that negative right off the bat. So if I factor out -1, this just becomes positive, this becomes positive, and this becomes negative. Now, if you forget to do that, not the end of the world. I just like doing that because it'll just be a cleaner or easier way to factor. But if you forget to do that, it really shouldn't affect you if you continue with the same process. Alright, so the next thing we want to do, because this is called the box method, what we're going to do is we're going to just make a box. You guys already know how to make a box? Alright? Now, the next thing here is we're going to fill in the inside, because we need to find the factors that will be on the outside. So what you need to do for this next step is you want to go ahead and first term goes in the first box. That's a 2. Last term goes in the last box. Alright, so all we have to do now, so first term, last term, we have to find the mystery boxes. That's the challenging part of this, and this is the tough part that we need to remember, because it's really just there's methodology to it. So we're going to find these two pieces right here, and the more you do this, the smoother it gets. It won't take this long. So what you want to do is you want to multiply the first term times the last term. So you get -20, right, x squared. And then you want to you don't even have to do anything. You're going to go ahead and put the middle term down here. So this was, alright, so now we have it a little bit organized. What we're going to start to think about is what multiplies to the first and last term, but also adds to the middle term. Okay? Now, you can write this out, or you can do this in your head. So we have to think about, alright, what really multiplies to -20x squared? So I definitely know it's going to be an x and an x, right? I just have to find the two numbers that actually multiply to 20, -20. But I also have to figure out what's going to add up to 4. So we want to sit there and we have to go through that process in our head and say, alright, what would that actually be? Now, in my head I'm thinking 10 and 2 will definitely give me 20, but I have to make sure it's negative. So if I make one of these negative, but when I add them together it has to be a positive, so that means that this would have to be -2x. So if you think about it, just check it. 10x times -2x is -20 x squared, so it fits that criteria. And then the next piece is if I added these together, I would get this guy right here. Awesome. So those are the two mystery boxes that we were looking for. So this would go here, and then this would go here. Alright, so now from here, the next step is we want to look at this first, we'll say that this is the first row, right? So look at these two and figure out what these two have in common. They have a 4 and a -2 and an x squared and an x. So that means that really what I'm doing is reverse distribution. I'm factoring out greatest common factor, and I know that would be 2x. So that's my start of finding all the other terms on the outside. So if you think about it, I want to go ahead and go, okay, 2x times what would give me 4x squared? 2x times what would give me 4x squared? And you guys know that would be 2x, right? Now the next thing here, we want to go, okay, 2x times what gives me negative 2x? So 2x times what gives me negative 2x? All right, yeah, what if I did negative 1, right? 2x times negative 1 would give me negative 2x. Awesome, so that works. Now what we want to do is we're going to go from here to find this guy. So 2x times what gives me 10x? 2x times what gives me 10x? And I know that has to be 5. Or actually, we can write positive 5. That makes a little bit more sense. And now we can see if these two make sense, we did it correctly, which it does, right? Positive 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. So now you should see that these outside pieces are your factors. So I just basically put this in factored form by using the box method. So, and don't forget the negative 1 that we pulled out, so I'm going to put a negative 1 right on the outside there. So this right here is in factored form of the original standard form. So both of these are identical. One's in a different form. This is factored form. So that's what we're trying to do. That's our whole goal for this video, or for this lesson, is to figure out how do I go from this standard form trinomial and put it into factored form. Well, you walk through those steps to help, and use those steps. That's going to help you to put it into factored form. We'll do another example and try to go through it a little bit quicker. But again, this is a video. Rewind it if you need to, and pause it when you need to, and make sure you ask questions. All right, here's another example. We have 5x squared plus 15x plus 10. Remember, the first step is always to see if you can factor out a GCF. So I'm going to look at 5x, 15x, and 10. I know all of those I could take a 5 out of. So I'm going to do reverse distribution of each and every one of these guys. That's going to give me a 5 on the outside. This would become x squared plus 3x plus 2. All right, so now all we have to do is we're going to use the box method to factor that. And eventually I'm going to show you a little bit of a shortcut. When the a value is 1, it's a lot simpler to factor, but for now I'm going to stick with the box method just because that's how I showed it to you previously. All right, so we're going to draw a box. First term goes in the first box. Last term goes in the last box. All I have to do is figure out what those two special boxes would be, or those mystery boxes. Sometimes I call them special, sometimes I call it a mystery. So the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first and the last. So 2x squared, and then we're going to put the middle term. So first and last multiplied together goes here. The middle term goes here. Now I have to figure out what multiplies and add. So this one's not too bad, so I know it's definitely going to be an x and an x. And I know it's going to be a 2 and a 1, right? Because 2x times 1x is 2x squared, and 2x plus 1x will give me 3x. So that is the mystery boxes. We just found that pretty quickly, pretty efficiently, which was good. Now, what we want to do is we want to figure out what do these have in common. I'm basically just using reverse distribution or factoring. That is called factoring. And this would become x, right? That's all they have in common is an x. Now, x times what gives me x squared? X. X times what gives me 2x? Positive 2, right? X times what gives me 1x? So x times what gives me 1x? This would be plus 1. And then now, again, just to double check to see if we did this right, we can do plus 1 times plus 2, and we should get this value here, which it is, so we're dead on. Another way to check too, guys, is you can multiply these directly across. So x squared times 2 is 2x squared. 1x times 2x is 2x squared. So you'll notice that that works out as well. So those do check out. So the factored form of our original 5x squared plus 15x plus 10 would be this. So don't forget that you factored that 5 out previously, so that would stay there. So our factored form of this whole standard form trinomial would be 5 times the quantity x plus 1 times the quantity x plus 2. That's it. So remember, the steps stay the same. If you guys can remember this, this will go very smoothly. And again, when the a value is 1, there's a shortcut, and I'll walk you through that shortcut probably in the next video. But for now, most of the time the a value for the practice that you'll be doing will be greater than 1. So that's why I showed you the box method. So good luck with this, and you guys can get this. Once you get it, you'll see that it'll go a little bit smoother for you, and it'll get easier and easier. Sometimes going through this process, finding the mystery boxes is a little bit of a challenge, but you'll figure it out. Also, what I'm going to pop up here too is a little graphic organizer. See if you can figure out. There's a couple spaces in this graphic organizer which I want you to try to fill in on your own, right? Because that might help you to figure out what the signs of the mystery boxes will be. Because if you notice, say if this is positive and this is positive, both of these will have to be positive, and there's different combinations of that you have to think of. So good luck with this. I will see you guys next time I see you, and have a good day, good night, good morning whenever you're watching this video.